Probably when I was about 5 years old, I would be riding around with my father in the oil truck or with my uncle. We would, go out on deliveries or service.
I grew up in Palmer. My father had started on his own out there, and we used to fuel the trains. So I loved trains, so it kind of worked out great that as a young kid, I would get to go with him at night or on a weekend down to fuel the trains.
We spent a lot of time at my grandparents' house in our early years especially, and every time we went there, we would go visit our grandfather, who we called Pa, and we would go visit him in his basement office.
We had a gas station out front, and I can remember pumping gas for less than 20 cents a gallon. Those are fond memories.
It was originally started by my great-grandfather, Timothy Noonan, who lived in the Winchester Square area of Springfield, which is now called Mason Square. And he was in the ice business. They used to cut ice back in those days.
He was able to walk to work. He would walk over to the pond across from the water shops or Massasoit Lake.
They cut ice on part of Lake Massasoit near Springfield College, and also on a small inlet called Noonan's Cove, still listed on the state maps as Noonan's Cove, right that area. My grandfather, Ed Noonan, came into the business in the mid-20s, and at that time they started to introduce kerosene and fuel oil sales to the company, and they stayed in the ice business until 1952. Then the ice had kind of gone the way of the world, and they just concentrated on the oil from that time on. One of the first things that I would remember that impacted me is in 1957, we bought an oil truck, and it was the first and only completely new oil truck that the company has ever purchased. And I was with my dad to go pick it up down on Dwight Street in Springfield, and it made a big impression on me, and I think helped inspire me to get involved more in the business.
When they first got that truck, the 56 Ford, Ed had mentioned that he went to buy the cab. I went down to New Haven to get the tank put on it, and we still have that truck today. It's being restored right now.
Fast forward to 1973, when I was a junior in college, I bought a company in Palmer, Mass. called Palmer Coal and Oil, and that was the beginning of my ownership of a company, which then grew into becoming Noonan Energy Corp.
In the 80s, my father changed the name to Noonan Energy. I think what he felt was that the name energy was going to transcend time, and regardless of whether oil's the product of the future or something else, energy will always be an important part of what it takes to keep people's homes warm. So whatever the evolution is into the future, I think we're well set.
I started helping out my father, working unpaid, pumping kerosene in the office. We also had the paint store and the wallpaper store. I then had been away from Springfield for a number of years before coming back. It was a chance to come back to Springfield and reacquaint myself with friends and family who were customers, and also meet some new people that I hadn't met before who had been customers for years. And that's been a great experience.
In high school, I started delivering oil, and shortly after high school, we purchased a small company in Springfield. I came into Springfield, ran that separately for a couple of years, and then we merged it in with Noonan Energy, and shortly thereafter, I became office manager in 2001, and then I became president of the company in 2009. The best part is working with a great group of people, working with some family and the willingness to work together to get the job done.
When Ted approached me to join the Noonan team, I was intrigued with the possibility of working with my brother and my father and my uncle, which was kind of a nice part. But I've also had worked previously in a part-time capacity, and I've always enjoyed working with the various people that have come through the doors at Noonan Energy. Just becoming part of that history was something that was very interesting to me.
In my time with Noonan, the biggest change in the industry would probably be the evolution of the fuel. So from being a high sulfur fuel oil to a low sulfur to an ultra low sulfur, this fuel's improved in a major way. As I like to always say, it's not your grandfather's fuel.
Noonan Energy is proud to deliver BioHeat Plus, and that is a cleaner fuel than in years past, but we also have an additive package that makes it even cleaner. So what that does for the technicians is it's not as dirty a job as it used to be perfectly frank, so that is an added benefit.
Probably the single most impressive thing to me about the history of our business is my great-great-grandfather's evolution from ice to fuel. And he had to provide for his family. The business that he knew for so long was literally disappearing. So I think the diversification into fuel was probably the single largest thing. And then from there, I think it's a testament to, the moves we've made since then to further diversify to be where we are today.
We have employees who've been with us since 1980. And they are happy to be here. And over the years, that's been something that's always encouraged me as we move forward in the business. And we look forward to serving our customers well into the future.
Although we're very proud of the past, we're even more optimistic about the future and leading this company for many generations to come.